From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the Noon News on this Monday. I'm Andrea Lutz. A new plan will manage how helicopter tours are conducted over Glacier National Park. We'll get to that story in a minute, but first. Merck has asked the FDA for an emergency use authorization for the first pill to treat COVID after clinical trials showed it helped save lives. Here's today's leading look. Well, current treatments require patients to receive infusions, but the Merck drug could be given at home. Still, experts say the best measure is to get vaccinated. Southwest Airlines canceled 2,000 flights over the weekend, leaving passengers scrambling. And the airline blaming disruptive weather and air traffic control issues, although the FAA attributes the disruptions to staffing and aircraft issues. Experts say the economic growth for this year will be lower than expected, and the tie is due to declines in consumer spending. Goldman Sachs looked at several factors, including the reopening process for businesses and how much Americans have saved. But the latest COVID surge continues to hamper people's willingness to spend. Nearly 24 million Americans are under threat of severe weather. It's a massive and intense storm system making its way through the Midwest. Last night, golf ball-sized hail in Texas and Oklahoma and wind gusts of more than 80 miles an hour. More than a dozen tornadoes were reported, and thousands are still without power today. That's today's leading look.
The snow got an early start on affecting roadways. In fact, you can see across the state of Montana that snow is starting to develop around Bozeman Pass. You can still see a lot of the asphalt, although the visibility is much poorer. Bull Mountain's much lower elevation just north of Billings, already showing some accumulation. McDonald Pass also seeing some snow and ice. And here's a look at Homestake Pass outside of Butte. And you can see as you get to the overpass section in particular, that's where the snow is really starting to accumulate. A big portion of the region, especially in southern Montana, will continue to look at the possibility of some snow through tomorrow. And this is going to cause some slick conditions, poor visibility. We'll show you exactly where the biggest hazards will be and the amount of snow and rain with the full forecast coming up.
During a recent online meeting, the FAA and National Park Service explained Glacier's draft air tour management plan is a means of allowing existing tours to continue, but with controls that haven't been in place.
The preservation of natural sounds and the protection of cultural and natural resources, wilderness character, and preserving visitor experience are a priority.
Protects the resources in the park by specifically putting some restrictions on certain activities. It restricts hovering. It restricts flights to 1 hour after sunrise
and 1 hour before sunset. Under interim operating authority, the park's control of the air tours had been fairly limited, including which routes were flown. In the past, some would fly north to Canada. Now tours will be kept at a minimum of 2,600 feet above ground level in a pair of loops on the west side.
One of the other parts of the plan is that it removes a northern route that the air tour operators have been flying. It crossed the divide and all major valleys in the northern part of the park. Removing this route would provide greater protection for wildlife and recommended wilderness in that portion of the park.
There are only 3 operators still holding permits to fly tours using a combination of aircraft.
And the draft plan calls for not adding any new operators in the years to come.
There had been as many as 5 tour operators at the start of this year, and the 3-year average of flights over the park has dropped to 144 flights per year, excluding the companies that withdrew. So that will be the limit for the remaining operators, and no new operators will be licensed.
So the plan includes a provision that once an air tour operator sells or goes out of business, their operating authority then expires and it is non-transferable. So long term, the goal is to eliminate air tours in Glacier National Park.
That's in keeping with the objectives of the 1999 General Management Plan, which called for the eventual elimination of air tours.
The objective is that the current operators that are in operation at this time can continue operating, but under a stricter plan, and then eventually phasing out air tours over Glacier National Park completely.
The public comment period is closed, with the FAA and NPS continuing to work on the plan. In West Glacier, Dennis Bragg, MTN News.